Hello everybody, this is CJ Wiley with more adventures off the road. Today I'm going to talk about some hustling techniques. I've been asked this question a few times and I want to share it, with anybody that's watching now because, it's kind of like that adage, you can give somebody a fish and feed them for a day, or teach them how to fish and feed them for a lifetime. And right now, it's escalating as far as the levels of deception. And the ancient manuscripts say there's basically 7 levels of deception, but we only get to 6 before there's, the grand finale, let's just say, the grand delusion. So, the pieces are taking place now. I mean, the script is already written, and those that know the script have an incredible advantage. So let me just tell you about a couple little hustles that there's about 10 to 12 of them that we use. I'm going to tell you the most basic ones is playing 2 ends against the middle. And that one is done in all ways, shapes, or forms. Anytime that, and this is true in sales too, you always want to give people a choice. And both choices are wrong. I'm not necessarily in sales, because it might be, do you want leather seats or a red car or a green car? That's not necessarily, both sides. In this case, on the big level, it's basically bad versus evil. And evil's in control, and bad is probably going to take over sometime soon. But you'll see these, especially the 4 main points of hustling, or in the ancient manuscripts, they're called the 4 hidden dynasties, is politics, religion, education, and economics. So those are where the big hustlers are. And basically everything that we see is a show that they want us to see to get our consent to do something. In the pool hustling world, we're trying to get the consent. See, I wanted people to ask me to play and want me to play, so I always told them, first and foremost, I never said I was not a good player and I haven't been playing and all that. I would tell them, I'm really good. Are you as good as me? I'm the best. I won like the Boy Scout championships, and I'm the best player in my town of, wow, got a squirrel throwing nuts at me, it looks like. Hey, sorry, guy. So I would tell them that I'm just the best, and nobody can beat me. And this especially worked when I was with very attractive women, because, it really poked the male ego. And, especially the weaker males will take the bait. We call them gamma males, the secret kings, because they just can't stand for somebody getting attention when they're supposed to be getting it, or the way we lure them in is you can misspell words on purpose, or, what I do is I give them the whole, I call it the moon is made out of cheese scenario. Yeah, this right here doesn't look promising. There's some big snakes here in North Carolina, and there's no alligators. I saw a lot of alligators when I was hiking in Louisiana, but they got some big snakes that might hang around there. Water moccasins I don't really want anything to do with. I used to see those when I was a kid in Green City, Missouri, out by the reservoir. We turned over a boat one time, and man, there were several of them. That was spooky. Hard to get that image out of my head for a little while. So anyway, so I would tell people basically the truth, that I'm the best. Nobody can beat me. I'm as good as anybody, and blah, blah, blah. And it's the tonality. I'm not trying to convince you right now, so I'm just telling you, the verbiage. And I used to go in, I remember this one girl I was with was a real sharp hustler in her own right. And we would go into a pool room. I remember this one, and I had this red, white, and blue pool case. And I would carry it by the handle, and so I didn't have the shoulder strap. And I carried my money in a wallet, and I wore boots, and I just mismatched everything that pool hustlers actually did, or gamblers. So I'd go in with this girl right after the place opened, so there's nobody there yet. And we'd go right up to the bartender or manager or whoever's behind the bar. I'd go up to them and say, "I'm really good. Is anybody as good as me?" And they'd look at me and go, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, I'd point at that pool game. "I'm really good. Is there anybody in here as good as me?" And the guy'd go, "Well, there's nobody in here." I said, "Yeah, but if there was, would they play me? Because I'm really good." And before he would answer that, I would look at the girl and say, "I told you nobody was as good as me." And man, that would hit it. That finalized the deal. And the guy would always say, "Well, I can call somebody. You know, old Charlie might come down and try you some. But you'll have to gamble. And he won't play for less than $20 a game." So I'd look at the girl and "You feel like staying for a little while?" And she'd say, yeah, I want to play." And she didn't play pool very good, so I'd go over there and get a rack of balls and let her play and show off her her charm, let's just say, her physical attraction, which is very important. There again, you got to go after the male ego. And I'm telling you this because you got to resist it if you're the mark, if you're the target. It doesn't work on me at all. You know, I recognize these things like a mile away. But my interest these days isn't busting pool hustlers or pool scams or whatever when they're losing on purpose, and that's going on. And I just found out that somebody that was reported to have done it actually didn't do it. And that was a relief because, you know, I can recognize that too. But, you know, pool players have it tough enough. They don't need me. Plus, you know, I just want to use my skills and the gift that I have for recognizing cons and deceptions. Let's go down this way. There's a gravel road. It's really peaceful out here. But I don't want to use my, you know, gifts to hurt other pool players. You know, they got enough trouble, like I said, and I don't approve of it, though. So if anybody that's a friend of mine asks, I will tell them, but I'm not offering anything. And that's just kind of a code that I follow, and it used to be pretty rigid. You know, now, you know, I share my techniques, fundamentals, and secrets that, you know, 25, 30 years ago would have been frowned on. I mean, I came out with my first Ultimate Pool Secrets in 1997, the year after I won the ESPN World Championships. But I wouldn't change anything in those videos. It was a set of 3. You can find them at masteringpocketbilliards.com, but along with a lot of other ones. Or in a search, you might be able to find. I've got a lot of YouTube videos, so my channel has probably, you know, well over 100 different segments as far as stories, mental game tips, and also on aiming and banking and safety play and strategy and, you know, especially the champion level fundamentals. But like I said, this world, these 4 hidden dynasties is starting to really show themselves and not care who sees it. You know, so a lot of people are starting to wake up. And again, that 4 hidden dynasties is the political system, which is completely controlled. Completely. No exceptions. The economic system with the banking, you know. It's a debt-based system. It's, you know, most of you probably know about that. The Jekyll Island stuff. And so it's completely controlled. And then the religious system, also completely controlled. You know, I mean, if you're going in to do a hustle, you wanna control, your opponent and their field of expertise, and it's not in that system. And then the educational system, a lot of us have to relearn most of the things that we thought was true just because we were told in school about the history and discovering electricity with a key on a kite, and gravity was from a 22-year-old kid or however old he, whatever, I don't know, 21, 22, whatever he was. An apple fell on his head, and he thought it was a force. Anyway, it's so ridiculous. But you got to be aware of that, and then you look for playing two sides against the middle, because they'll have at least two, but I mean now they're cutting people up to where there's shots, no shots, mass, no mass. Was it a spy balloon? Was it not a spy balloon? Was it? Did the submarine even exist? Are billionaires really that stupid? A movie that came out that got millions and millions, and it's produced by the actual people that are behind the atrocities that they portray in the movie itself. See, I know people that do that kind of stuff, and I can't and won't disclose who they are, but they're in top levels, and they told me if they even described what was on those videos that they're talking about, I would get physically sick, and it might damage me mentally or scar me for life, which I had no interest in that. But then you find out, and he said it himself, I mean, they don't hide this, that the guy that did the movie was introduced and watched that stuff to get ready for his role. That should be prison time for whoever showed him that, and for him even really admitting to doing that. They're trying to, first you have to get people to be aware of something. Then you get them to accept that something, and then you get them to consent to that something. And there's a process that goes on, and the reason I feel a need to to explain this is that's what's going on. And I have certain lines that I mean, there's certain people, I don't think there's a punishment bad enough for some of the people that's doing things, especially to kids. So anyway, the other hustle is the bait and switch, and they're using these in, that's kind of what I'm talking about there, is they bait people with something that really is happening and it really is tragic, but then they switch the narrative to what they want the people to think it is, because most people don't even know it's happening. So then they're made aware of it, and then they accept it. They want to do something about it, but they can't. There's no possible way they can. But then at some point, it's consensual. That just happened in 2020. We've tried to make people aware, but back then it was really difficult. It's getting easier now because people are starting to realize, man, nothing's true. Nothing that is being told to us at the outer layer. See, the way it works with reality is it's kind of like being in a bubble. The closer it gets to you, the more real it is. Like your life is real life. Your friends, of course, got a lot of fake friends that'll, but hopefully you learn and sort them out. I mean, I do immediately. If somebody acts like I said, like a gamma male, I mean, I block them out of my life like they never existed, and never think again about them, because a friend of mine that's a well-known comedian, told me, it's like gardening. You have to prune your garden. You got to pick the weeds, because they're going to come up, and that's okay. You don't emotionally hate weeds, right? You just pluck them and put them aside, so the flowers can grow and the vegetables and the nutrition is maintained, because these weeds will rob your reality of nutrition, mentally, physically, spiritually. So that bait and switch is a big one. And my friend just did a interview with let's see, the not Scorsese, but what's his name? That did the 2000 Space Odyssey. Got his name. He died after he made a movie that kind of portrayed some of what the elites are doing. Man, that escapes my name, probably on purpose. But he was always said that he was the one that filmed the spoon landing. We'll call it that, the spoon landing. Because I don't care about, if something's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. But you got to call a spade a spade. And but they didn't argue whether the spoon landing was real or not. It was more like who filmed it. And she said, if my father had done the production and directed it, it would have looked a lot more real. Because it doesn't look real at all. Oh my God, when you really pick it apart, it's hysterical. So you got to laugh at these people. And there's nothing to do, there's nothing we can do for people that can't see the two ends against the middle con and the bait and switch. It's going to happen over and over. But once you understand it, I wish I could remember that guy's name. Again, it's probably for a reason. Some of these things I probably shouldn't say anyway. But that's just a general outline of two of the most basic hustles. Like I said, there's probably 10 others that I use, but they get more and more complex and sophisticated, and you really need to learn how to calibrate nonverbal communication through eye access patterns is one. If you're listening to somebody talk and they're not moving their hands and especially their eyes, if somebody's processing something visual, they have to look up to process it in their mind. So if somebody's just looking at you and not doing that, and if they stay in the center, they're processing auditory digital is what it's called. So sounds that they're either creating or they've heard before. And then when you go down, it's feelings and what they call auditory digital, where they're talking to themselves. So everybody looks down when they're processing feelings, if you've noticed. Like, you can tell a lot with children, if they're getting punished by their parents, they look down. It's like they're ashamed, but that's what the natural eye access patterns do. If you want to learn about this stuff, just I don't recommend Google. I use a pre-search program that I learned about from one of my partners that's an expert at AI and probably as good on computers as I am on the pool table. And it really works, It's still there's still stuff on there, but it's more, that's just how infiltrated the world is. On Google right now, you can't find anything that really matters. It's all controlled. So, it's amazing, a lot of us could see stuff like this coming, but not this fast. But the technology increased exponentially You know, starting in about 1948, which there's a parable called the parable of the fig tree that talks about the last generation starting in 1948 for a variety of reasons, you know, and, you know, people don't all agree on that. I do, because I've studied that enough that that makes sense and fits it all together. Question is, how long is the generation and stuff like that? So there's three different answers to that. One of them has passed. Another one's coming up in about 5 years, and the other one is coming up in what is it, 68. So what is that, 43 years? So I don't care about that one. I won't be around. But I'm real concerned about Agenda 2030. That's a good thing to. And if you do search, I was going to say, for eye access patterns, NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, eye access patterns, EYE, access patterns. If you search that, you will find that information, and it should be interesting because it's probably something that very few people know about, but it helps you a lot, because if I don't use it, you know, I don't look at people like they're machines, but if I think they're lying to me, then I do pay attention to stuff like that, and I can tell. And, you know, on TV it's a joke because none of them move their eyes. They're reading everything. Everything's off a script. It's just a question of who's writing the script, right? Well, got a pretty good idea of that too. Anyway, this is CJ. Till next time, remember, the game is the teacher.